Hello, hello, and welcome to Rise and Shine. I am your hostess, Alissa, the consultress, here bringing you cutting edge conversations with awesome people in this age of disruption. We are in a time and place, the most opportunistic time in human beings' history on the planet. And yet, some people seem to think that it's the doomsday and the naysayer time where we can just get lost in doom and gloom. So, Rise and Shine is the antidote to doom and gloom. So I am very happy and pleased to bring you some people who bring light and liveliness and a little bit of irreverence to my life. So I want to introduce you all here to Mike Kemski. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So let's just get down to brass tacks. This is our get to know you conversation. We've been Facebook friends for a while now, and I came across one of your posts that literally changed my life, and I'm gonna share that right now. 7, 8 years ago, maybe. It was like, you're pretty irreverent. You just kind of say what's on your mind, which is what I love about you. And you put up a post that was like, what is all this flu shot crap? Right? Pre-COVID, all this. And it's like, we used to just get the flu, suffer like an asshole, and then we'd be good for a decade. Our immune system would be great. Well, P.S., Mike, I went through a really deep dive into like no pharmaceuticals, no nada. And here I am. I got strep throat. I was clapping at my kids because I couldn't yell when they needed to be like, get their attention. They were little at the time. But I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to see if my body can do this. I'm going to come through this and see what happens. And it was in that moment of like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get better, that I heard my grandma's voice in my head go in a thick Italian accent, Alissa, chew the garlic. Well, it sounded more like Alissa, chew the garlic, but
Two of the garlic.
and that's when I discovered the like beneficial properties of like food as your medicine. So I want to thank you for pushing the envelope there with me and having like pre-paved some kind of thinking in my life that broke open a whole new way to look at health and vitality. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you now because you represent some vitality to me. You're bunch irreverent and I love that about you. So where does who is Mike Kemski for real? What are you up to and what are you passionate about?
Sweet love of God. All right. That first of
Loaded
all,
question, man.
yeah, this question, it's like, could you ask me the least desirable question possible? Who are you? No, I'm kidding. It's great. That post, I vaguely remember it, and it's just I'm gonna comment on that first because it's not that I'm really anti anything, but I am absolutely for and an advocate for our own power and our own energy systems and nature and how we function. And people, I think, excuse me, I've been around kids. I'm just getting over this head cold, man. These kids got these germs, like the death grip. These little kids. Fuck, like, where are you guys packing this shit? You're tiny. But anyway, we all have so much power, and it's just stripped away, little by little from birth, from the society, the world, all this stuff. No one really ever like digs in and looks at what people are versus who they are. And I think that everybody kind of just gets to the point where they have to fall in line because they're indoctrinated by all this stuff, which there's merit to some of it. There's merit to medicine. There's merit to natural. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying that I'm anti anything, except for I'm anti stop being a bitch and own your power. That's yeah. You have to own your power.
Fuck
And
yeah.
and it's not in a mean way. I mean, people like I've been doing this for over 30 years, this kind of work and this kind of stuff, and I did it myself. My story's crazy. We don't have time for all that in this short interview, but the things people notice when they start to see themselves, it's just the most beautiful thing because no one really ever shows them themselves. And that's kind of what I want to do. That's kind of what I do, is just kind of help people like realize what they are, not who they are, because you can become whoever you want when you know what you are. And it's easy. And this whole buzzword of authenticity, like people like people make everything a big deal. Like, okay, how do we overcomplicate the hell out of all this shit so we can't do it? Like it's not the point. That's not how this works. You want to strip away all the complications to get to the simplicity so you can do it. And it's like, how do you be authentic? Oh Jesus. If you have, okay, that question's not, I mean, you just be. It's like such a hard thing to deal with. So I'm going off on a tangent, which I do, but who am I and what do I stand for? Uh,
Authenticity, man.
Authenticity, yeah,
Sorry.
for real. Like
Yep.
like literally what you see is what you get. I this is me. I don't change. I mean, if we're having coffee, if we're at dinner, if we're at a conference, if I'm on stage in front of 2,000 people or 2 people, or if I'm doing this, what you see is what you get, because what the fuck else is there? Like why would I want to show up as some fake version of myself, some watered down version of myself, and
Mm-hmm.
deny myself first and foremost the ability to express how I feel, so I have this complete and whole feeling, and the world, the energy that is emulsified into these words that can help heal them too. Because when you're authentic, there's I gotta find this. There's a study done. There's a study done by some smart motherfuckers, way smarter than me. Studies, because studies can go anyway, but it's pretty interesting because they were talking about like attractiveness, like what are attractive human qualities. Excuse me, sorry. And that's not one of them. The snot from a head cold, but but they talk. People wouldn't have any idea. There's one that's 400% more attractive than anything else, and you ask people like, oh, it's got to be love. It's not love. No, it is. It's authenticity. When you're authentic, whether people hate you or love you, it doesn't matter. It's real. And we are starving for real in a sea of fabricated bullshit.
Yeah.
We live our lives in this sea of fabricated bullshit. And so it's really, when you start to feel real, you feel like isolated, you feel like scared and vulnerable, like what the fuck's going on. So I get why it's hard for people. But at the same time, it's so much easier just to be authentic. So who am I? And I'm just a guy. I'm a guy who has some pretty deep experiences in life, been through some pretty heavy challenges and addictions and that kind of stuff. And I long story, but this is not where we're going to tell it. A loaded gun in my mouth and pulled the trigger, and like people like, what happened? Well, obviously I'm still here, so
It did
figure it
not
out.
detonate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Figure out the voodoo, what happened. But that sent me on a course of just a journey of discovery. And I didn't know there were people like me, in this world that kind of help people get through this stuff. Spiritual leaders,
Yeah.
which is crazy. People like, yeah, I'm incredibly spiritual. I just don't like put crystals up my ass and walk around with sage and have the staff of wonder and chant. I don't have that's not what spiritual means.
Yeah,
But
no, I come across this thing in my life called the personal religious and philosophical beliefs. I don't believe that you need necessarily an external structure to be able to have that divine experience. And I think, in today's day and age, that's kind of a radical notion, right? That you have direct access by being authentic, right? Or just by listening. I don't know, God, I was 27 in the mountains of Italy, and I got this download, this voice that kind of just like put a sentence through my brain that said, the more questions there are, the better it is, and the better it can become. And I thought, that's weird. I didn't think that. It like the thought occurred to me, right? So I've kind of been on this journey of like, exploration and like opening things up and being curious, and like that's where all learning lives. That's where all I think Jesse Eller talked about it once about, the actual word education means like to mine the like inspiration in your life. And I'm totally paraphrasing. I'm completely fucking up his definition right now, but that it comes from the successive experience in life and the curiosity. Like the inquiry is the gold. So when you're out here in all these extrinsic systems of life and business, it's like, no, your boss tells you what's valuable or not, or your pastor tells you what's a good way to live or not. Like all these systems are pointing at authenticity, but in and of themselves are not really authenticity. They're just a tool. So if you can look at the whole world as like a tool for discovery, I mean, I think like that's when it flipped over for me, is realizing, oh, I'm not seeking answers. Like seeking the answer or the ultimate truth is sort of subjective, but also it's also contextualized. You have to be willing to open up and look for answers. You ever have an idea and go towards something, and then you find yourself in the journey going like, well, now my inquiry has totally shifted. I found some more stuff to explore, and it redefines my focus, and now I pivot, right? It's the whole journey of entrepreneurship, personal development, spiritual development, is like being willing to be curious. And I find that that's what has brought me the most value in life, is to be able to say, all right, so where I'm curious, like obviously that's where like my soul or my destiny is bringing me, is to be curious about that stuff. And damn, is it a lot of fun, getting to like, just the more questions there are, the better it is, the better it can become. Yes. And then on the back of that, I got how does silence communicate with noise?
What? How to silence communicate with no what?
Yeah, that was another, like, so just like this, Italian phrase came to me in the mountains of Italy. Another download like a decade later was just this question that I was supposed to, play with or ask people about, is like, how does silence communicate with noise? Like,
Oh,
how
how
do you
does
find,
silence? Okay.
yeah, like, how do you find truth when you've got all this buzzy, distracty, noisy shit out there? And like, I feel like that's kind of where you're at, is helping people, carve off some of like that distracto, not
Yeah.
authentic, not personhood stuff. Is like, you assume that you're this, but maybe just get a little curious. Can you speak to that a little?
Whew, yeah. um the, Jesse and I were just at dinner actually last weekend, and he kind of I overheard him talking to someone who asked him about me, and I was just kind of listening, and it was such a great metaphor. And I probably shouldn't have said it's about me, because now it's going to sound a little bit weird, but whatever. He said, if you take and I'm paraphrasing him too, but you take a pile of sawdust and a pile of metal chips, and you put them together and mix them all up. You can't really go in and pick out the metal chips from the sawdust. It's almost impossible to do that. But he said, what's Mike? What does Mike do? Said, I've watched him for years walk into a room and not even being aware of this, but I've watched grown men just start crying. Just they're just sitting there. They don't even know why. They're just crying. And he said, because Mike's like a magnet. When he gets around you, all that metal just gets pulled from the sawdust. The sawdust is all the shit that life throws on you, all the calcified layers of, if you don't have this purse, you suck. If you don't drive this car, you're a loser. If you don't make this much money, you're worthless. Not, you shouldn't even listen to you. All this bullshit, labels and expectations of society put on people that bury their light, that snuff out their light, that really build a prison inside of them that their soul is trapped in. And that's what causes all this pain, and it causes all this confusion, and it causes apathy, it causes anxiety, it causes all this shit, because you got this little bitty soul and they're going, let me the fuck out of here, and it's like trapped and it's trying, and you feel that pull, but you don't know what it is, because you got to hustle, and you got to do this, you got to do that, and you got to perform, and you got to have significance, you have to have accolades, you have to have achievements, blah, 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 blah. Stop, people. Stop. The world's constantly saying what you should be, but this is the difference. Like, that's what the Power Life Challenge is about, is to get to that thing and get it out of you. Because if you don't have that, if you don't have access to that, and it's mixed in with all the dirt and shit and trash and everything else with life, of expectations of other people, people's labels. Like, my whole life I grew up hearing, you're a piece of shit, you're a loser, you're worthless, you're fuck up, you're stupid, you're ugly, blah blah blah. I mean, I'm a little tiny kid, like that's what I was conditioned to believe about myself. Well, that's not true. It's not true at all. But when you're being conditioned by that as a child, and your brain is developing, and the human part of you, that's the blueprint you have. That's the map that you have, that you live your life based on, until you change that map. But as you start to build on that, what are you doing? You're just adding more shit. It's like a wrought iron fence that's been painted over 3,000 times. It's just layers and layers and layers and layers. Well, that's not the core. What the thing is iron. What you are, everybody, me, you, all of us, what we are at our core energy signature is something different and unique, but we're all the same too. We all have the same purpose. And people like, what? They get all like weird about that. No, we don't. Yeah, we actually do. We all have the same purpose. Now, when you think about what is that purpose, and people get all weird about it, I'm like, no, it's not because we're all doing the same shit. We have the same purpose. Because what are you? You are, if you look at the human energy systems, your mental, or your electrical, your emotional or chemical, and your mechanical, your physical, you have your mind, your heart, your body, your mental, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, all this stuff that we all know. It's all basic stuff, common sense, but not common practice. But when you look at what that is, what the fuck is that thing? What if you look at that like objectively, stand back, like what would that thing do? What's its function? To create. You're a creator. That's all we all are. That's our purpose, to create. Create what? No. What lights you up? That's the question that no one ever asks. That's the problem, is the world never says, what's in there? What actually, let me observe you. Like Jesse was telling this guy, like, I just watch Mike do this shit, and people, and he pulls all this out of people, and it's just this love, and it's just them. It's all the metals, them. It's like they see them and they feel themselves, sometimes for the first time ever. And I'm like, I do that. He's like, yeah, dude, you're like a magnet. I'm like, yay, me. All right. I don't know that. I'm not trying to do that. People ask this question. This is a big one, and it might piss some people off, but whatever. People ask, like, what they talk to coaches and mentors and all this stuff, and healers, whatever. Why did you get into this space? Like, why did you? Well, because I really want to help the world, whatever. No, meh, wrong. If
Wait, hold on, let's blow this up right now. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm listening. Like, I just want to make sure everybody's listening.
This is the actual I don't know if you want to call it the truth, but if you find a real, like, because there's a lot of people that really have no business doing some of that shit. They just read a book, got inspired, which I understand the feeling and the drive, and they're like, man, this is exciting. I can help people. That feels great. But they're not, it's not them. It's not what they are. It's kind of what they want to have an experience. So when someone asks that question, and people answer, like, what made you get into this? Oh, it's because of X, Y. No, unless the answer is like, or why did you choose to get into this? And if unless the answer is like, the fuck you talk, you think I want to do this? Think I chose this shit? No, I didn't choose this. This is just what I am. That's like asking a bird, why do you fly? Why do you choose to fly? Because I have fucking wings. That's why. Like, if I was a leopard, I would run or whatever. I have wings. That's why I fly. It's not a big deal, and it's not really a choice. It's just what people are. And so when you start to be around that kind of energy, you can tell. Like, if you look at the people, like in real shit, like in like shamans in the Native American stuff, like those motherfuckers got some weird shit going on. They're different from everybody else. And it's not that anybody's better or worse, but people think that there's some superpower to be a healer or whatever. It's annoying as shit sometimes. It's not like a superpower. It's like, I want to be a regular person that goes to work, comes home, cracks open a beer and watches football, doesn't give a fuck about anything. That'd be nice some days, but it's just, the point is like that whole idea of the question is like, how do you get to that point where you know what you are? And the one of the hardest things people have in this process have to do is accept it, because it's like, what, again, back to the question, people never like look at you and go, what are you? No, that you're a kid. I'm a Raiders fan. I'm going to put you in Raiders clothes. I'm going to paint your face like a little Raider. I'm going to make you a Raider from this big all the way up. And that's what happens, is people just get conditioned, but no one ever says like, do you even like football?
So football analogy here. I grew up in New York, where there's Long Island, New York, where there was always two teams to root for. There was the Mets and the Yankees. There was the Giants and the Jets. I mean, goddamn, you had to always pick one, and there was always some kind of controversial whatever. When I went to college, I went to school in Philadelphia, and oh my God, everybody loved the Eagles. I was like, huh, I found a new team. I went back to New York in my Eagles gear and was like, Monday Night Football, let's go. I'm going to the bar. I'm wearing my Eagles jersey. Question me about it. Why? Because I finally felt the solidarity. I didn't want to fight anymore otherwise, but that's kind of the way that New Yorkers communicate, is through like casual conflict and little snipey stuff. But wearing that Eagles jersey to me represented like, I found where joy lives for me. I was able to go to a football stadium and see people that were just like, everybody was high-fiving, everybody's on the same team, regardless of the fact that Eagles fans are batshit crazy. We all are. Anyway, but that to me represented like community. And that was one of the first times where I felt like I jumped out of that template that like I was forged inside of, and maybe didn't fit me. And I just said, no, this is what I stand for. And when people asked me, why are you an Eagles fan? Then I was able to get out and say, because I found community. And that's one of those solid values that I drive my life by, is people who are fun, but also people who enjoy community. And that community aspect of knowing that you're not alone. Like that's also what I found in entrepreneurship. You know, when you're out there providing value and you're that unique expression of whatever that signature is for you, it can be really freaking lonely to be pushing boundaries and to help people transform out of that slumberous, unacknowledging state of like not really being who they are. But I have found some of my greatest expansion through the grand pursuit of business. That's why I love what I do now, because I'm helping people, you know, harvest the shit out of that. Yeah, you want value, you want to leave a legacy for your kids, you want to build wealth. Yeah, let's go. Like that lights me up, and it allows me access to community and fun. And finding those things, you know, sometimes is a painful process. I did
Do
not
you
allow
see?
myself for years. Go ahead.
Well, that's what. Okay, so do you see? Like this is how simple this is, and this is what people fuck up. They may overcomplicate it. Like that's it. Like okay, so you're about fun and community. So connection, community, fun, like lightness, living life, joy, smiles, dancing. We got on here, you're dancing around doing the thing. That's what you're about. So obviously, when you find that something that matches that, because you're tuned to that shit. So that's the music you're gonna be drawn to and hear and see. You're not gonna listen to the country shit or the classical, whatever. You're like, I want the fun fucking bubblegum pop. I want whatever it is. And that's what you'll do. So it's not hard. I mean, let me put it this way. It's not complicated to get to that core, but yeah, there's a lot of layers you got to pierce through to get that. Here's why, because if you were like everybody, most people, not everybody, but most people in the world, you go to the point like, you know what? I don't know why I always use this metaphor, but like, man, I just looking around like, is this okay? Like, dude, I don't know, but turtles make me fucking fire up inside, dude. They're so cool. I love turtles. Okay, then let's turtle the shit out of your life. Yeah, but how do turtles make me money? How do turtles like fuck? Okay. Look, maybe turtles don't make you money. Maybe they don't have to make you money. What they do is they make you you. They help make you whole. They amplify your natural core frequency. They connect your mind, your heart, and your body so that energy triad I teach, that circuit's connected and your energy can flow around the circuit, which powers the inside of this thing, which makes you ultra attractive to people who love turtles and people who just fucking love authenticity, because you're living through authenticity because you love turtles and you just accept it. Oh, but it's not big enough. It's not grand enough. It's not something. It's not Lambos and mansions and shit. Who fucking cares? Are you happy? Because that's kind of the end game. Are you happy? You know, are you? Do you feel a sense of fullness? Do you feel the energy of life roaring through your goddamn veins every day? Do you feel this passion because you have turtled the shit out of your life? Then it doesn't matter what it
I
is.
love that. Yeah, I
All
love
that matters is that it matters to you. And at that point, it could be fucking peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. It could be the cure for cancer. It could be time travel portals, bending space and time with some crazy fucking math that you're going to invent. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference what it is. Completely irrelevant in the scope of this, except for to you. That's why you go back and say, what's your purpose in life? Your purpose is to create. Create what? What's in here? Let that guide the creation. You start focusing on that, your whole ecosystem changes, your whole little garden changes, everything changes, and then you become empowered. And when you become empowered, you start to chip off that old shit. Like, oh, I don't care if I have a Walmart sack or a Gucci bag. It just carries stuff. I don't fucking care. And then it doesn't define you anymore. Now that chips off. As soon as that thing chips off in one of the deep crevices and cracks of your soul and makes space, guess what moves in there? Your own love, your own shit, that you move in there and fill it up like, thank you, bitch, that's my spot. And it goes back in there. And then you feel this euphoric sense of high. And you continue to do this in this successive, progressive way by following some simple principles, simple processes. There's no big fucking mystery that you have to solve. It's a perfect design and it works all the time, no matter whether you're doing it with intention or not. It's always working. But when you do it with intention, when you set a target, like that's what happened with the gun thing. There was a focal point that made me like realize all this. And you do it with some sort of intention. You put an X on the map. So the X, where am I? The X is here. You're over here. Oh, look at that. You have a path now. And when you have a path, you can actively live your life. When you're actively living your life in pursuit of the things that make your soul ignite, you're winning the game of life. Always.
Yep.
always.
Yep. And that's the pursuit. Like we were saying with opening up the inquiry and being curious, it's the pursuit that is the living. That's where it hangs out, is having a target, clarifying that target, understanding yourself better along the way. Like the better it gets, the better it can get, right? So I mean, we are like cooking with gas right here, but I am going to put a pin in it, and I'd love to have you back. You are full of life and full of energy, and I love what you're doing out here in the world. So if anybody out here wants to find this man, where do they find you?
You don't, unless I want you to find me. No,
Hashtag powerlifechallenge.com.
just
Sorry.
go to powerlifechallenge.com. You can find me on Facebook. I'm not hard to find. I'm not one of those people like I'm elusive. No, I'm an open book, so I'm easy to find.
Cool. So, and just a little bit of a description, the Power Life Challenge, uh, is it something that can help people uncover some of this crap and live more
Exactly what
authentically?
that's exactly what it's designed to do. It's designed to help, because you know, real quick, I know we're going to wrap this, but you know, when I've spoken all around the world, and inevitably you ask this simple question to people, and this question builds empires, it destroys empires, it builds lives, it can destroy people, it can build people. It's a simple question. People can't fucking answer it, and it's just because, like we told you, what do you want? I've seen people get divorced because at a restaurant, because they can't fucking agree on food. Like, fuck, oh my god, is that big of a deal? But the question, what do you want? there's so much there's so much to unpack with that, of why people can't answer it. But that doesn't matter. The fact is, people can't. Why? Because no one ever fucking asked you. No one ever showed you how to even know what you want. No one even showed you how to figure out what you want. No one showed you a process of, oh, that's it, how to identify this thing. That's what the Power Life Challenge just goes in systematically, step by step, in this process to get to the core of what you want in your life externally, and how you want to feel about these things and about yourself and about life. And when you can match those two things, your external world with your internal world, and there's a feedback loop, you're living in what I would call like your Shangri-La, your like perfect like life. It's like it's amazing. Yeah, you still get flat tires, babies have blowout diapers. No one gets a pass at life. But life is amazing, even with those things included. So the Power Life Challenge is really focused on that one question. And it's I've set it up in a way where if you get rewarded if you do it. So you know, obviously there's an investment, but if you go through and do the process and get the result, your investment becomes refundable. So it's just like, we're focused on transformation. We want to help people. We want something for you, and we know once you get going, if that path is right for you, you're gonna build some momentum, and you're gonna want to keep on going until you get on that trajectory and that path that aligns with your soul.
Yep.
So that's exactly what it's focused on, is just to help people answer that question. What do you truly want? Who are you? What are you? What do you want? How the hell do we get it? It's as simple as that.
I'm like, wasn't that the first question said I asked you? Who are you really? And what are you up to? So thank you for reverse engineering the industrial age school system we've already been brought up in, that it's all extrinsic. No. It's all harvesting from within. And thank you for teaching that. And also, when you ask people, you know, what do you want? And they're doing it from a place of, I need to know what you want because it has to fill me. No. I see the opposite in you. When we go to gurus, or we go to teachers, or we go to mentors, we want someone who embodies the result that we want. And so what you're teaching is very evident that you have discovered it because it was what you wanted. And when you are the product of that work, and you are the product of what value you're bringing into the world, it becomes magnetic, because someone drawn to you and your energy and how you talk and how you vibe, you know, this might be the perfect fit for them because you've already walked the path. You're not teaching so that you might be redeemed. I mean, maybe you are, but what I think I feel from you is you've already redeemed yourself in all of these ways. You found out who you really were, and then you're paying that forward. And that's all we can ask in business and in entrepreneurship, in life in general, in leadership and being badass. So look up Mike Kemski on Facebook. His posts are fucking hilarious some days and really poignant, and will help you rip off the band-aids in some other days. But go check out powerlifesystems.com. And until next time, friends, every Monday, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time, we broadcast right here on the Rise and Shine with Alissa channel at Consultress on YouTube. Click subscribe, give us a thumbs up, let us know what you thought, and we look forward to seeing you here again next time. Mike, thanks a million.
Thank you.